Hello everyone, welcome back to Into the Plot. Just like every week, we are here to break down the new episode of Pluribus. Before anything else, spoiler alert for episode 6. Alright, let's get into it. So just like we theorized last week, we now know the hive mind needs to feed on dead humans in order to survive. This idea was horrifying for Carol. So much that before going to see Diabate, she preferred to vacuum the weird powder off her floor first. But for Diabate, it wasn't horrifying at all. In fact, it made perfect sense to him. He actually loves this new world. Everything he does shows that his pre-virus life wasn't great. He likes the new system so much that he was even upset when he heard Carol wanted to stay, because the hive mind keeps its distance from Carol. They even evacuated the city just so she could come. But even though it's only been 12 days, we're already seeing signs that Diabate is getting bored. He literally asked the hive mind to act for him. So pretty soon he might realize this perfect life isn't as amazing as he thought. For example, the poker scene is very similar to an episode of The Twilight Zone. In that story, a thief named Rocky dies and is taken to what he thinks is heaven. Everything goes exactly the way he wants. He wins every poker game, beautiful women surround him, and there are no limits. At first, it feels amazing, but slowly he realizes everything is repetitive, predictable, and meaningless. The lack of challenge becomes its own kind of hell. This seems very similar to Diabate's storyline. Even his Lamborghinis start with the bright colors at the beginning of the week, but fade into gray tones by the end, possibly symbolizing how his joy will fade. Another important point in this episode is that the hive mind has figured out how to infect immune individuals, and to do that, it needs their stem cells. They tell Carol, "We won't take any stem cells from your body." The wording is suspicious, especially since Carol previously mentioned she had her eggs frozen. Fans think that maybe the hive mind can infect her through those eggs. But scientifically, an egg cell is not a stem cell. A stem cell can turn into any type of cell like heart, brain, skin, blood, and it can also replicate itself. Egg cells cannot replicate. Also, they only contain half of the genetic material. Even if fertilized, you get embryonic stem cells but not the mother's stem cells. So frozen eggs shouldn't become stem cells unless within the universe of the show, the same people who engineered this virus also made something like that possible. We can also look at this in another way. If the difference between Carol and everyone else is actually rooted in their stem cells, maybe that's the key to immunity for other people. We also learned that they've been watching Carol the whole time. Back in the early episodes, they even said they would monitor her with drones. So of course, they knew she had figured out their secret and was heading toward Vegas. Now let's talk about Manisos. He's still scanning different frequencies. Why? In the previous videos, we theorized that the collective mind connects everyone through a signal, and Manisos is trying to find it. Two strong clues support this theory. From day one, the hive mind shut down all phones, possibly to avoid interference. Another reason is that when everyone speaks simultaneously, they're not perfectly in sync. There's like a 1-2 second delay, so this connection isn't pure telepathy. One of the signals Manisos finds seems unusual, and maybe he and Carol can use it to disconnect people from the hive mind, or possibly disrupt the signal so badly that the hive mind turns from calm to angry and everything collapses. We also found that he lived just 2 blocks away, which shows how terrified and paranoid he is, literally locking himself inside with no food. That matches his character. Remember how he hid his cash inside a lamp? He also has a photo with his father showing they were close. Maybe his father died during the infection, and since Manisos wasn't close to his mother, the hive mind had no choice but to use her image to communicate with him. When he decides to go find Carol, he picks up a book. It's some kind of English learning tool. If you Google the name of the creator, you will find a global anti-hunger activist, which fits perfectly with the theme of this episode. Manisos wants to go to Carol, but there is no land route between Colombia and Panama. Next episode is called The Gap, which likes to refer to this problem. Or could be the emotional distance now growing between Carol and the others. Maybe she will even ask them to come back. Alright, thank you so much for watching. If you have your own theories, drop them in the comments. See you in the next episode. Bye.